So this is our first financial contacts meeting from Wallkill. We like to have these once a year with financial contacts and overseers and branch committee members. Last year we were in the midst of a move from Brooklyn, so I think we skipped last year, but we're glad you were able to join us this morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. And here we are, the two apostates Jehovah's Witnesses love to hate.
And having fun again.
Yes. I have one thing I want to say about that opening clip to Jehovah's Witnesses. Told you so.
Well, I'll give a little bit of background. This is a leaked clip that Atlantis actually sent us several years ago, and everybody was focused on the record management's leak video, so they were focused on that. Along, we were as well. And it's like, okay, all these others he sent me, like the HLC and, there was something about blood and doctors, so there was just so many videos at that time. And I believe it was 2019 when he sent me that. And when this started coming in about this news piece from Ireland and their assets management things they've started now, it's like, oh my God. He sent me this linked clip about financial contacts. And so we're going to cover this before we get into the new Ireland assets management plan that Watchtower is doing.
Told you so. Guys, out of all of the years that Kim and I have been going after Watchtower, we've got a basket full of told you so's. Because we said it years ago. They're nothing but a business pretending to be a Christian-based organization. We've exposed the money laundering through, jargery and other things. We've exposed the child sex abuse, among other things. We've exposed Jehovah's Witnesses for, hiding murderers. Told you so. We've been telling you people all this for all these years, and what we're going to present today shouldn't shock anybody, because these guys are part, wait for it, the global elites. This is why the governments won't touch them any more than what they have to do. They will not touch this organization because they're part of the program to keep people dumb and to keep them sitting in their seats and be quiet. And guess what, guys? They get all that authority to do that from their own Bible or any Bible. This is their authority right here. And this is why they do it.
So do you think you might have one more I told you so in there?
I'm sure I do.
Okay, because I have a clip for you from this meeting.
Okay.
Then there's also the responsibilities of the accounting department for all the money coming and going, all the records of property, buildings, and equipment, timely reconciliations, financial statements. And the accounting department guidelines remind us all of the importance of protecting the organization, our nonprofit status in this country. And that status saves the organization literally millions of dollars. So we need to make sure that we all cooperate together. And headquarters reminds us of the importance of consistency. That's where we have the biggest problems, is when we're inconsistent. And when you look at the operations of the U.S. branch, how many different types of business from a worldly perspective that we are in, there is considerable risk of being inconsistent in the way we present our activities. So that's why the governing body said that they assigned responsibility to all the financial activities across all those lines of the Lord's business, if you will, to one department to help ensure consistency.
Surprise! There was a lot of information in there, wasn't there?
Sad. Just sad. But I told you so.
Yeah.
See? They want to protect their nonprofit. They have different types of businesses that they're in, including the Lord's business, if you will. Snare and a racket. Rutherford said it decades ago. And yet we were stupid and dumb enough to believe this bullshit. All done in the name of Jehovah. All religions practice the same thing, and all religions in one form or another have their own holy book to screw the people over.
Yeah.
They all do it.
And in these clips we're going to show, they talk about hundreds of millions of dollars in donations. And it's sad that Jehovah's Witnesses actually believe your donations are going to the real Lord's work of preaching the good news, you know, printing literature and doing relief work to help those who have had disasters and stuff. They actually believe that. In fact, some of this information that many of you have posted on Twitter, there's Jehovah's Witnesses calling this fake news. Oh, good Lord. I honestly wish these idiots, these governing body clowns, would put this information on jw.org so Jehovah's Witnesses would have full disclosure of where your donations are really going.
They'll never do that because religion is a snare and a racket. It's a racket.
Now, on that clip he was showing while he was talking about, you know, these different, you know, accounting departments. At the bottom, you've seen a quote, and it says, the BADG, like chapter 1, chapter 2, and what page. Okay? He is referring to the Branch Account Department Guidelines. And I'm not sure if we have the latest guidelines booklet of that. I would have to, you know, dig it out of the beast. And if we do, I will do a file drop in our Dropbox with the link below. And of course, all of the things that we are going to be talking about, these articles and, you know, information, I will put the link down below because there's a lot we're going to have to cover here.
You guys see these men in suit and ties, right? And yet they go to their kingdom halls, presumably, and still sing, ours is the God of false prophecy. Since 1914 failed, these idiots are still pushing this organization. Oh, wait a minute. God needs a modern day organization. See, even though the Bible, somewhere where, you know, David's talking about building a house to Jehovah, Jehovah steps down and says, what kind of house can you build for me? The earth is where I rule. The heavens is where I rule. There's even another scripture in there that says all the gold belongs to Watchtower. And here it is.
Well, apparently the Lord's business that he mentioned in that clip, they need an asset management team now.
Yeah, because God can't God. I'm telling you, when you are dealing with absolute bullshit artists, this is what you get. And it's no different than in the political world today. You're still dealing with the same bullshit mindset that convinces people that we're now dumb and stupid. But that's no longer the case because people are waking up, they are seeing it, and they are resonating with truth speakers. Even if that's in the political world, even if that's in the medical world, even if that's in your school systems, even if that's in your banking system, the insurance business, it's all a snare and a racket designed to disgorge us of not only our freedom, but our monies.
Rob us of freedom and money, and
rob you blind.
This is propaganda, and
yeah.
The XJW community should be experts at propaganda now,
yeah.
and deflection and red herrings. We should all be experts at this because we lived it.
Gaslighting.
Yeah, we've lived it the entire time we were in Watchtower. So we see this for what it is. And I just wish every single Jehovah Witness would be able to see some of these leaked videos of Watchtower at their headquarters talking to people. And let me tell you, it isn't just Jehovah's Witnesses in these meetings, because like he mentioned, our financial contacts, their banking and asset management and their investment management, investment bankers are all invited to these. Just like, I was looking at their blood and HLC meetings, doctors invited to that who are non-JWs. So don't be fooled that this is only for Jehovah's Witnesses. These are geared for the world also, the secular people that are attending these meetings.
And as you guys listen to these clips and other things that we want to discuss, remember the good book. Jesus himself said, "Be no part of the world as I am no part of the world." Can you imagine Jesus Christ, what he would do with this type of wealth?
Wow.
What is it that he told that little short guy that climbed the tree? Go and give away your wealth and become my follower. Oh, no. I got to go bury my family first. What a load of crap. What an absolute load of crap.
Well, I just can't imagine, Jesus in the New Testament, how he was, and the whole New Testament talking about the love of money, the root of all evil, the whole Bible book. And we were taught that as Jehovah's Witnesses.
Of course.
Do not be lovers of money. Oh my God. Well, if you have so much money that you have to have an asset management team and companies, asset management companies, and we'll get into that here pretty soon.
And you're also sharing the bed with the global elitists.
They're all in bed together. And I want to thank everybody who sent me information on this, and we'll be covering that in a minute. But we wanted to cover this leaked video from several years ago first, because obviously the universe didn't want us to cover it back then, and now it's pertinent and important information because we're listening carefully to what they're saying. And it's like, this meeting they had a few years ago is setting up Watchtower for the coming assets management team that they were going to set up. And to, like he said in the clip, to protect their 501 nonprofit status no matter what.
Otherwise, Uncle Sam was going to make them pay taxes on all that money.
Well, they mentioned it saves them millions of dollars a year.
Yeah, but doesn't Jesus say when, giving that coin out of that fish's mouth, pay Caesar's things to Caesar? Oh, wait a minute.
Unless you have the 501.
Unless you get the 501. See, Jesus forgot to mention anything about that 501c3 when he was telling people, his followers, to pay Caesar's things to Caesar, but God's things to God. What a crock of crap.
Well, maybe he told them secretly that they need to have that to protect the Lord's business.
yeah, to protect the Lord's business.
All right,
God.
We have another clip here if Mike's blood pressure can handle it, if his heart can handle it.
And so the governing body has outlined certain basic roles or stewards that they delegate to. First, the branch committee. Now, in branch organization, it highlights the branch committee's basic responsibility when it comes to donated funds. They're responsible for all of the dedicated resources under their oversight to make sure they're used wisely. And secondly, they're responsible to make sure that all of the activity gets recorded properly on the books. And each year we have somewhere in the neighborhood of 13 million transactions under the U.S. branch territory. So that's a large aspect.
I would imagine all of your jaws hit the ground like mine did the first time I heard this. Oh my God, holy crap. Over 13 million transactions a year just in the U.S. branch alone.
In the territories.
What how much business are they doing with other things? Shouldn't you be focused on the Lord's work instead of all these other transactions, like your hedge funds and your investments and your stocks and bonds and all of that? Oh my God, that's a lot of transactions.
Yes. Whose blood pressure is getting high now? Yours or mine?
Mine.
Guys, words have meaning. This is Black's Law Dictionary. Words have meaning. If you need to, go back and listen real closely to what this knucklehead just said about what the governing body and how they assign things out. They're not assigning religious duties. They are assigning money oversight. When you're being told that these governing bodies watch over the religious portion of the Watchtower Babel Crap Society, that's an outright lie, because he just said they assign these people to oversight.
They're stewards to watch
stewards.
over, well, like the screenshot said, confirming that all dedicated resources under its oversight are used wisely. So they are responsible in all the money that this organization. Did you hear anything in there about, Bible or the kingdom or Jesus? No, because they're talking to mostly secular people, and this is a financial meeting. This has nothing to do with, except for them saying it's the Lord's business.
With the religious order of Jehovah's Witnesses.
But it's all about money.
Right.
And the money oversight and protecting that 501c3. And this is what we've been saying for years. This is a financial empire. And
Right.
the real estate is only one part of it.
Right.
They have their tentacles in so much stuff. Someone just the other day sent me a link and said, hey, have you ever heard about Jodgery nursing homes? Yes.
10 years ago.
If you go to our channel and the homepage, and you'll see a tab that says playlist. Click on playlist and go down to Jodgery playlist. We did several videos years ago about the nursing homes and how expensive they were, and how only Jehovah's Witnesses were allowed to pay to stay there. And that some of them even had kingdom halls within that nursing home. So they didn't even have to go out. And we even talked to Mark and Cora. And Cora, I think it was Cora's aunt was in one of them. And they had the family had to move her out because it got so expensive. So this is for the rich Jehovah's Witnesses.
Right.
See, they're all tied in together, and these tentacles, travel agencies, security. There are so many that just this is what we've been covering for the past 12 years.
I
know.
Again, told you so.
Yeah.
And they're all doing it hiding behind a so-called holy book.
And the Lord's business.
In the Lord's business.
And that's why, it's so disheartening that Jehovah's Witnesses honestly believe that they care more about the kingdom and the preaching work when it's the furthest thing from the truth.
Well, it's, again, there's certain factions in the political world right now that you could look at Jehovah's Witnesses in the political crap that's going on, and it's an absolute mirror image.
Yeah, it is.
They create the problem, and then they turn around and pretend to be the savior.
Well, they blame everybody else.
Yeah, it's a mirror image, and I could spend an hour pointing the finger and showing what a mirror image this is.
Yeah. Well, I'll just mention real quick. You were watching a video that ex-President Richard Nixon.
Yeah.
We all know about Watergate and Nixon. And it was very enlightening to hear some of the things that are coming out now about Watergate. It's like the government actually knew there was going to be a break-in, but yet they, started pointing fingers at everybody else. And it's like, wow.
And you remember what Tricky Dicky said? It was the news media doing this. How is that any different than what they're doing today? It's not. It's actually gotten worse. So has the Watchtower Babel Crap Society. You know what? Their annual meeting's coming up real soon, right? How much you want to bet they're not going to tell anybody after their business portion of the annual meeting? How much you want to bet they're not going to tell the John Q. Public Jehovah's Witness that was invited any of this stuff? They're not going to do it. It's all going to be love Jesus, love Jehovah. Armageddon's coming tomorrow. You better be prepared.
Well, the thing is we know their business meeting is for the shareholders, the board of directors of Pennsylvania, and all of those elitists.
Yeah.
And we know that several of that board of directors in Pennsylvania are not Jehovah's Witnesses.
Right.
And we know a lot more about that group of people, but we've been warned. Don't talk about, the board of directors over certain things because, we'll be in serious trouble.
Bad things could happen.
Yeah, bad things. So, but just know that, that business meeting they have before the annual meeting of the religious Jehovah's Witnesses, they don't even allow cell phones in there.
I mean, look at what we're exposing now. We got to protect the 501c3. To hell with all you abuse victims. All you abuse victims, you can go to hell. That's how they feel about you. They would rather protect the organization and that damn 501c3 than all the people they're hurting. How do you love Jehovah now?
Yeah, they don't care about the abuse survivors. They don't care about the shunning. They don't care about the damage they have done to families.
No, and you're going to see the amount of money these people have got. The amount of money they've got could go a long way in helping these abuse victims. Why do you think we're doing what we're doing? Why do you think some of us are helping, state attorney generals in exposing this corruption? But then again, it's only going to go so far because they're all in the same bed sleeping under the same color sheets.
Yep, they're all in bed together.
It's not difficult. It's really not. What's difficult for me is that when you have the evidence in your face, they'll deny it.
Well, like I said, a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses were calling everybody liars.
Yeah.
All, you apostate, lying apostates, this is fake news. No.
It's not.
Unfortunately, you're the ignorant ones, the fully indoctrinated Jehovah's Witnesses who go on social media calling all of us liars. Unfortunately, you're the ignorant ones because where do you think the newspapers get their information? They go get the documents. They go get the links to the stuff. They do a little bit of research. We don't trust the media 100%.
Yeah.
But when it comes to, exposing, Watchtower and their huge asset management companies they've started now, I think they've done a little bit of research and we've got, the links.
They're not a secret organization, friends. They're an organization with secrets.
Yeah.
Words have meaning.
Yeah. All right. We ready for another clip? Kimmy's blood pressure's up.
Let me wet my whistle first.
Now, what are the specific assignments given to the branch committee? Well, in the branch accounting department guidelines provided by the publishing committee, the branch committee is given 4 areas to really focus in when it comes to the financial resources. First of all is the selection of personnel, that there's sufficient and enough qualified personnel to look after this work. Second, maintaining the systems of internal control. Third, ensuring legal compliance. And fourth, monitoring the performance of regular audits. So those are the areas that the branch committee focuses in on. I'd like to talk for just a moment about internal controls. What are internal controls? Well, when you think of money and control, you might think of a big safe with lots of cash in it and securely locked. That doesn't work anymore. We don't use a lot of physical cash anymore, just a very small percentage. Most of our hundreds of millions of dollars that are contributed to the organization in this branch are in electronic form. How do you protect all of that money? The simple answer is internal controls. And what are they? Well, internal controls, simply put, are good procedures. These are procedures that are put in place to make sure that if something is missing, we don't unnecessarily suspect the last person that touched that transaction. There's a duplication of effort. The two main aspects of internal controls are separation of duties. So you have one person who executes a transaction, another person who records it, so that there are two people involved. And then also, the other important aspect of internal controls are documentation of procedures, so that there's a standard against which all of the financial activity can be measured against.
I did find that interesting. I know it was kind of a long legalese clip talking about, their different, policies, but the maintaining the systems for internal control. That was interesting because they don't trust them anymore.
Well,
they have to have a group to know what every single transaction is, what's happening.
well, look at the world we live in. We just was informed how many Social Security numbers were just recently hacked.
Yeah.
And now everybody's billions of Social Security numbers are out there floating around on the internet for sale. Well, this is just nothing more than just good business practice. But it also helps Jehovah's Witnesses, or you should recognize that even internally, that trust factor doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Because how easy is it to hack this? If you're working with the system, you can hack it and hide and take all that money out of Watchtower. Or maybe a little bit at a time, so that nobody notices really that, a lot of money's missing, but it's small increments.
Well, look at, that's why they had to set up the hub and the records management, because it was just a disaster area and a lot of bad things were happening. And I also found it interesting where he says, the first thing was the selection of personnel and making sure they have enough. So they have to make sure, not only, in previous videos, they have to make sure that their legal department has enough lawyers and paralegals, and they've asked for many, to join their legal department all over the world. So they have to have a gang of lawyers, but now they need a gang of accountants and personnel to run their, accounting department. It's like, oh my goodness. It must be nice to have that much money.
Oh, it must be nice sitting at the right hand of God. Forget the money. They're literally convincing people they're sitting at the right hand of God. Forget Jesus Christ. It's them.
Yeah.
And yet, like Jesus Christ, they do nothing to that poor person in ways of helping when they're getting abused.
Well, that's what was so disgusting about listening to, this meeting they were having. Because I'm thinking of like our moms.
Yeah.
Who are living on a limited income, very poor on Social Security pensions. And, they have to scrape just to get $20 to put in the donation box once a month. And yet when they get extra, they'll give it to the Kingdom Hall and Watchtower. And it's disgusting. A while back, they were doing on JW Broadcast, I believe, about the widow's mite and how, she gave the last few pennies she had. It's like they pull at the heartstrings and she gave her last few cents. What can you give? And it's like, really? You're raking in hundreds of millions of dollars every year, and you have so much money that you can't put it in a safe anymore. You have to have, this internal system control of all these assets, and now you've got so much money that you have to have these asset management companies.
Well, there again, if Jesus didn't give that illustration of the widow's mite, Would Watchtower be, doing the Lord's business? And, just reflecting back on what you said about our mothers. Now, you do realize that the generation of 1914 is dead, gone,
Yeah.
and this system didn't end,
Yeah.
including the start of the Great Tribulation,
Yeah.
that your mother and my mother are now living on borrowed time.
Well, like your mom told you one of the last
Yeah.
times you talked to her, I'm going to grow old and die in this system. Well, guess
Yeah.
what?
Guess what?
The 1975 Scrooge generation, us, guess what? We're senior citizens now.
Yeah, I just celebrated my 63rd birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boy, you're getting old.
I wasn't supposed to grow old. I was promised by Jehovah's earthly organization that I wouldn't grow old in this system.
Well,
but yet here I am. Thank you for lying to me, Jehovah.
Our parents promised us
Yeah.
we wouldn't have to die in this system. Guess what?
And all of that came right from this book. All of it.
Yeah. And then they wonder why we speak out and try to wake people up to what this organization really is. Do you really think they are a religious organization that was handpicked by Jesus and God?
Well, that video that I did, my last one regarding that 2x2 religious group, those people think the same thing. God handpicked them. And now you look at after 100 years, because of the benefit of the internet, then people are now getting in front of their cameras and saying, look, we were all abused as children. There's no difference, friends. Wake the hell up.
Well, the thing is that video that you were watching another video about the 2x2
Yeah, again.
being under FBI investigation.
Yeah.
And it said the group had started in the mid-1800s, about the same time as the Russellites, the Jehovah's Witnesses, the LDS Church, the Mormons, the Adventists, all of them, the Baptists, all of them started in the mid-1800s. And these people have the same terminology as Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if they're not an offshoot group.
Well,
because they call their religion the truth.
Yep.
Only their elders and religious leaders have the truth, and and they believe they're God's organization, the only organization on earth.
Well, reflecting back on what you just said back in the, middle to late 1800s when all these new religions started flourishing, you know what traditionally that was called back then? The Great Awakening. Remember?
Yeah.
It was the Great Awakening.
And there's actually a very good documentary. I don't remember who did the documentary, but it's on our channel. And if you do a search, with a little magnifying glass, right above the, like and subscribe, there's you can do a search and look for the roots, shoots, and those in cahoots. It's a very good documentary that starts back in the mid-1800s and how all of these religions started branching off. And that's why we say they're all branches of the same tree, because they all started in the mid-1800s.
That's right. And the roots are full of poison.
Yeah.
And you're seeing that now manifested. By their fruits you will recognize them, says Jesus, as he's hiring Watchtower to do the Lord's business.
And that's what this video is about, and those in cahoots, because they're all in cahoots together. We're ready for another clip.
Elementary, dear Kimmy. Elementary, because it's just this simple. When people wake up and they're willing to be honest with themselves as to what they see in front of their own faces.
Yeah. And fortunately, we have a lot of you newbies who don't know much about what's gone on for the past 12 years since the Great Awakening in Watchtower, and you're just trying to get caught up, and there's a lot to catch up on.
There's a lot to get caught up on.
There's a lot to get caught up on, and that's why we're mentioning some of the old history and, how to go search on our channel, because there's a lot of history you need to get caught up on.
Yep.
And yes, it's disturbing to find out what organization we were really involved in, because they are an evil financial empire that don't care about people. They don't care about God's people, God's children. They don't. They don't. As you can see, all they care about is having enough personnel to handle all of their wealth. Disgusting.
Now, with the governing body giving this responsibility to the branch committees, the branch committee now uses a network of brothers throughout all the departments and areas. And what are the roles in the departments? Well, there's the overseer. He's the primary liaison to the branch committee for that area. There's the financial contact who supports the overseer. This is not primarily a clerical role. This is a responsible role to help in budgeting, to help in planning, and making sure that internal control procedures are followed. Very responsible assignment. There's the requisition preparer, there's the requisition approver, and then there are the imprest fund custodians. And a new aspect that you'll be hearing more about in the weeks and months to come, auditors. You're familiar with custodians. A custodian is a custodian of a petty cash fund, or perhaps a credit card, or perhaps an imprest checking account. These are all called imprest funds. And up until now, they did the transactions. Someone else in accounting verified what they did. The World Headquarters is directing a change in all of the branches and how this is done. That role of auditing those funds will now be part of the department. So you will have, in addition to the person who is the custodian, you'll have someone else who double checks all of his work and make sure it's accurate before it comes to the accounting department for resolution.
Frankie, I have a question.
Only one? I got many.
I'm sitting and listening to all of this, and now they need auditors to, and impressed funds and custodians and all this. I wonder if their teaching department of, God, Jehovah's spiritual food, I wonder if that department is smaller than their financial departments now.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
And legal departments.
I'm sure it is, because when it comes to this, you only have so much. And a big portion of what they took from this book has failed.
Well, look at Antmo. He said that they were going to be recycling articles.
Yeah.
So that's what they're doing. They're
It's
recycling.
over. But listening to this, you know what I can kind of see happening in the future, especially since we know what they're involved with right now? I see them setting themselves up as the Watchtower Bible Tract Society Credit Union.
I'm sure they have a couple of companies, because we already know.
Yeah.
They have a credit card company
Yeah.
that is run by a Jehovah's Witness that processes all their credit cards and all of their debit cards and donations and stuff like that. Yeah, we covered that a while back. And we also covered that on their lodging list for Bethel tours and stuff, look at the circled part. Your rewards points that you would get for your credit card and debit card go to Watchtower.
Yeah.
That's why hotel rooms are higher when you use their lodging list. Those prices are actually higher than what you can negotiate with the hotel and motels and rental car companies.
Right.
Because Watchtower not only gets your rewards points, they get a kickback on that.
Yeah. You got to remember, this business venture right here has failed. This is a failed business venture. The only thing possibly left for these knuckleheads is the Lord's Credit Union. This is the Lord's business now. Credit unions.
Wait
What?
for it.
Wait for it? Jesus, Mary and Joseph, this stuff is so damn simple now.
Yes.
Meanie, Tico Parson. It's over.
Yes. Now I want to thank Steve. I think he got some of this stuff on social media and he put it together in a PDF for us. So I really appreciate it with the links, because it's like, oh my goodness. Yeah. And it's been on Twitter also, Larchwood, Ron Pomo, Reddit, all over social media, And so I want to thank Steve, like I said, for putting this all together. And it's like, oh my goodness. Oh, where to begin? I honestly, there's so much here in front of me. I don't know where to begin. Well, let's begin with this. First, there's a picture of the Ireland branch. Now, it was supposed to have gone up for sale back in 2011. And there's an article here, Jehovah's Witnesses to sell Irish headquarters. And I'll put the link down below, like I said, to all of this. The Jehovah's Witnesses are to sell their Irish headquarters in Newcastle, in Wicklow. Okay? The Jehovah's Witnesses are to sell their Irish headquarters at Newcastle, Wicklow. Lucy Connolly of Commercial Property Agents Mason Owen Lyons is quoting a guide price of 4.5 million euros for Watchtower House. Okay?
Now, bear in mind, guys, if you're going to click on this and read this, Watchtower is 2 words. Okay? And this is how we learned years ago that there's a difference between Watchtower, Pennsylvania and Watchtower, New York. Get the said Bible, open it up, and look at how it's printed. Watch, space, tower. This is the money. This is the root of the bullshit.
Yeah, there's several different corporations. Some it's Watchtower, one word. And yeah, that's another of the pay close attention to
That's
the
right.
words.
Pay attention to the words. Words have meaning. Spaces have meaning.
Yeah. Now, this is the biggie. This is the creme de la creme, the cherry on top with whipped cream. Because in the Irish Independent, former top UBS executive joins Jehovah's Witnesses' new Ireland-based asset venture.
Credit union. Come on.
Now, before I get into the article, you're going to make me laugh, and I'm trying to
I
be
know.
serious here. It's his fault.
Yeah.
Okay, now before I get into the article, I had to look up who UBS is. And this executive is joining Jehovah's Witnesses in their asset management team. Okay, UBS is UBS Global Wealth Management Investment Bankers. Imagine that. See, like we said, it's a huge spider web of all of them in cahoots.
Credit union.
Oh, this goes beyond just a credit union. This is wealth management investment bankers.
Globalists. They're in bed with them. They're not in bed with Jehovah and Jesus. They're in bed with this wealth management portion of Satan's system. Be no part of the world as I am no part of the world, says, the Lord that's now in business.
Okay, now this article came out August 28th, 2024. And right underneath that title is Slate of Industry Heavy Hitters Sign Up to Management Company Run by Religious Group. Do you see anything in there about trying to, promote Jesus' kingdom? The Lord's work? Preaching? Anything like that? Oh, no. They'd rather go to investment bankers and get the heavy hitters that were directors and stuff.
The globalists.
Yeah, like I said, I will put the link down below so you can read this article. It's not too long, and I'm just going to hit a few things that were of interest to us. The Jehovah's Witnesses religious group has established a new asset management firm in Ireland that features a slate of heavy-hitting directors, including the former chief risk officer at Swiss banking giant UBS and other seasoned investment bankers.
Okay.
Forget relying on Jehovah. Investment bankers are going to help them.
Well, let me allow me to read one. The religious group is thought to have tens of billions of dollars. Let me say that again. Tens of billions of dollars in assets and relies on anonymous donations from its members to support all of its activities. Tens of billions? Credit union.
Well, we know this isn't true. It's not all from donations because they have a
Right.
huge investment and stock portfolio. We've covered that years ago.
But tens of billions.
Yeah.
All the gold belongs to Jehovah and his organization. Religion is a snare and a racket.
Now, the experienced financial directors are all understood to also have ties to the religious movement. The religious group is thought to have tens of billions of dollars in assets and relies on anonymous donations from its members to support all of its activities. See, the donations can support the kingdom work activities, but when they are doing all this other types of business, like they mentioned in that clip, other Lord's business, well, then that's when they need the wealth management team. Okay, listen carefully. It has established 3 companies in Ireland in recent weeks. Not years, not months, weeks. And I've got the links to those. That's in Steve's PDF. Including Mina Asset Management, Mina Treasury Services, and Lepta Payment Solutions. All 3 are based at the community's Irish headquarters in Wicklow. So they did not sell their branch. All 3 are based in the Watchtower House, the one that used to be up for sale. Okay? The directors of Mina Asset Management include 3 U.S.-based directors and others based in Germany and Australia. One of the directors is Philip Lofts. He works for UBS in the United States for 3 decades and was the group chief risk officer from 2009 to 2010 and from 2012 to 2015. He also served as CEO of UBS Americas in 2011. And if I remember correctly, the UBS Americas is one of the stocks that Watchtower receives money from. Okay. He was a non-executive director of UBS Group Americas from 2017 until 2023. He is currently a non-executive board member of major Swiss private banking group EFG International. See, now we're getting into the elites.
Credit union.
Vasilos Papos, with an address in Germany, is also a director of Mina Asset Management. He is the co-founder and managing director of leading global asset management firm Centagon Asset Management. It has about 57 billion euros of assets under management. Okay? Management company, gotta have that team. Tobias Brauelet is currently an adjunct professor at Germany's for-profit IU International University of Applied Sciences and lists his address in New York at the Jehovah's Witnesses property. He's a professor for applied scientists. Okay? Now this also brings up what I'm going to mention after all of this about the broadcast being removed about higher education. Okay? Remind me, help me remember. He worked for German banking giant Sparkus as a portfolio manager from 2007 to 2009 and also held other roles at the group. Nolan Venshithasamy is also a director. He worked as a bond trader with ABN AMRO from 1997 to 2001. He also worked for South Africa Standard Bank Group. Do you see a pattern here of all those in cahoots and the spider web of them in cahoots with all of these elite bankers and investment bankers and wealth management?
Credit union.
Another director of Mina Asset Management is New Zealander Stuart Bull, who gives his address as the headquarters of the Jehovah's Witnesses in Australia.
So, when Watchtower says, don't tell anybody that you represent Watchtower, can't say that no more.
Yeah. Okay, then it goes on to talk about all of the 8.8 million Jehovah's Witnesses worldwide and 1.2 million in the United States.
Credit union.
Yeah, and
They've already got people willing to borrow money because they're going to be bullshitted into think that they're borrowing Jesus money.
Yeah. Now this was interesting. It has amassed considerable assets since the movement was founded in Pittsburgh in 1872 by Charles Hayes Russell. In 2015, it put its worldwide headquarters in Brooklyn, New York, up for sale in various lots. Now, we did a video years ago about all the property they put up for sale in Brooklyn. They got over $2 billion in sales of that property. IBS Properties is another website where they sell their properties in the UK, mostly Britain. We don't know how much they have amassed from those sales because they don't have the amounts on that website.
Well, I mean, it has amassed considerable assets. We have to protect a 501c3. It has amassed considerable assets. We got to protect our 501c3. How could you be a non-profit organization when you have amassed considerable, remember,
Considerable.
Words have meanings.
Considerable
assets.
Yeah.
That's right. They're assets over a bunch of stupid people because stupid people still keep giving them money thinking that they're donating to God Almighty.
Okay, going on.
It's disgusting.
Going on with the article. In 2018, just one of the apartment blocks that sold in Brooklyn fetched $202 million when it was sold to Florida-based private equity firm Kane Anderson Real Estate. Among the well-known Jehovah's Witnesses are tennis champion Serena Williams, who was baptized by the group in Florida last year. This is the last paragraph of the article. The religious group is thought to have tens of billions of dollars in assets and relies on donations.
But they're non-profit people. They're a non-profit organization.
Yeah.
We got to protect our non-profit status, and this is why they're losing their non-profit status in certain governments around the world, because articles like this can be made to be shoved right down watchtowers' throats.
Yeah, and we have fun doing it.
Exactly.
Exposing them. You know, they need full disclosure to people donating. You know, do you know that your money is going to this kind of stuff? All right, now I'm going to go back to the PDF here that Steve sent me. And if I do a file dump, I will add his PDF to it, because it has the links and stuff in it. All three of those companies that the article mentioned, the Mina Asset Management, the Lepta Payment Solution, and the Mina Treasury Services, all three of those have the Watchtower House address in Wicklow, Ireland. Okay? And they still have the jw.org sign out front, like I showed, and it still says Watchtower House.
Next it's going to say jw.org savings and loans.
Wait for it.
Wait for it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a matter of time. Why? Why? Because this has failed for them.
Yeah. Okay, so then Steve has some questions here. Did Watchtower actually sell the property? Apparently not. If this team management is using it, either they bought it or just kind of like a property transfer to these companies. Who knows? Did they sell it to any of the directors involved with these companies? Who owns the property? Did they set up these companies in Ireland, which is known safe haven for taxation and other corporate financial benefits, right? Like avoiding tax and funneling money to other locations. Now, since Australia and the UK have to have financial documents available to the public, we've been grabbing financial documents from the Jehovah's Witnesses and the Bible students, which is another corporation in Britain of Jehovah's Witnesses. But when you look at those financial records, they send most of their millions of dollars, they claim, to overseas, and they don't tell you where. So, like he says, are they funneling money? Well, it's obvious from their financial records that millions of dollars is being funneled somewhere. Are they setting up these companies in preparation for losing their charity status in European countries? Good question. Good question. Is this a way to protect their assets if some of these governments, are going to start taking it and taking their nonprofit tax-free status away from them?
Well, how is that any different than a husband and wife getting divorced and one or the other sells all their properties and belongings to a family member for $1?
Yeah,
it's no different.
Yeah, to hide it. Yeah. Watchtower morally should be transparent with this information, as the money and labor have been donated freely by the rank and file JWs. And he's right.
But that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
Because see, once it leaves your hands and goes into the hands of Watchtower,
it's Jesus' money.
It's Jesus' money now. That's right.
Jesus needs a Rolex. Link below to further information about these companies and their directors. And he has 3 links. There are 6 directors, at least 3 of them JWs, who give their residences at Watchtower branches. 1 in Australia and 1 in the USA. And when you click on those links and go to the summary of like this Mina Asset Management Limited, it was set up, get this, on Tuesday, the 13th of August, 2024. So just a couple of weeks ago.
I wonder what's coming down the pike from some government entity that they're now doing this. Well, we don't have the money. We don't have the money. See, we're broke because we're a non-profit organization. And look at how quick they're setting up all of these organizations to move money around.
Well, I guess it also calls into questions whether Let was lying or was he lied to about, we don't need 14,000 new Kingdom Halls now or in the future. We need them right now, and we have a shortage. We need money.
They're all liars.
Yeah.
Just like the lie. That Let said during that one morning worship that apostates are saying that they hide pedophiles. That's what they've been doing.
Yeah. All right, now going on with the summary, it says here under this company, their current partial address is Wicklow and the company status is normal. The company has 6 directors who have also been the directors of 1 other Irish company between them. The Irish company shares its ear code with at least 2 other companies, which just happen to be the Lepta Payment Solutions and the Mina Treasury Services. And guess what the registered address is? Watchtower House, Newcastle, Wicklow, Ireland. Then you click on Lepta Payment Solutions. Set up Friday, August 16th of 2024. Says the same thing about the summaries. Registered address, Watchtower House, Newcastle, Wicklow. And if you scroll, there's a tab that's documents, and you can buy documents of their setup and stuff like that. I think it's only like €6. I may possibly, get at least a few of these, 1 or 2 of these, to see what's going on. And then when you click on the Mina Treasury Services, it was started Wednesday, the 24th of July, 2024, and says the same thing. The current partial address is Dublin, Ireland. But the registered address is still the Watchtower House, Newcastle, Wicklow, Dublin. So, there you go.
Watchtower House, Savings and Loan and Credit Union.
Yeah. It's almost as much of a scandal as their nursing home.
Jargery, yeah.
Yeah, Jargery. Yeah.
Yeah, religion is a snare and a racket.
Yeah.
These guys are no different than your mega churches in Texas, no different than the 2x2, sect. They're no different than the Baptists. They're no different than any other religious group out there pretending to do the Lord's work, saving lives, while they're raking in the mega bucks. And then people are foolish enough to think Christianity is under attack. There's a reason for this, because we all now have a voice and we can expose, like what Rutherford said, religion is a snare and a racket.
Well, he exposed the Catholic Church for decades. So we're doing nothing that he hasn't done.
We're not doing anything different than what Jesus did. Exposed his religious network of buffoons. Blind leading the blind. Will they not both fall into the pit?
Whitewash graves.
Whitewash graves. You are of your father, the devil. It's no freaking different today. It's no different.
Yeah.
These religious organizations have not changed one iota from Jesus' day until now. It's all about control through fear.
Yeah. Now, thankfully I wrote it on a Post-it note so I can remember. Someone also sent me the information, and they posted it on Twitter, that jw.org, they have taken down the broadcast for January of 2015. And it's like, I wonder why. Well, one reason it may be because Anthony Morris was the one, speaking about it.
That's where my money would be, since they've, distanced themselves from Tony Morris. It only makes sense to get rid of everything on jw.org that's related to Tony Morris.
But also, since we've mentioned before, are they wanting to become a softer, gentler cult? Now, I'm going to play a clip from that broadcast, and it's like, oh yeah, this was the broadcast.
We realize educational systems vary from place to place. In some countries, higher education is provided by the government, free of charge. However, the cost of obtaining university training is not our primary concern. It is the potential for spiritual harm that has moved us to provide the cautions we have shared in the past. So parents and children, you need to have a goal, and you need to have a plan. If you're missing either one, Satan will provide it for you. Some have felt that spending time with non-believers in a university setting is no different than working secularly with those who do not share our beliefs. And in fact, bad associations in the workplace can be a real danger. However, it is one thing to work on a job with others and quite another matter to immerse oneself in an institution of learning. In Romans 12:2, Paul said to stop being molded by this system of things, but be transformed by making your mind over. We are to be careful that this system does not mold or shape our thinking. The verse said to make over your minds, not hand over your minds.
So this is the broadcast that was very hard-hitting against higher education. And he mentioned several things in there against these higher educations, universities and stuff, and basically called them mind control and, causing damage to your family. I mean, so much damaging stuff. And so I'm wondering now, are they going to soften the stance on higher education? Or, I don't know why they took this down. But it's also the broadcast where they did the interview with Brumley, the lawyer they sent to law school. And he talks about how damaging it was to him because he became very competitive, and how, they told them, you're the future hope for mankind. So if you're good, you're going to help civilization. And if you're a bad lawyer, you're going to help destroy civilization. Well, don't we see that now?
Exactly.
A bunch of lawyers trying to, lead us in, most politicians are lawyers.
Yeah.
Well, that's the first problem.
That's the problem right there.
Yeah.
That's
Because
the problem.
like Brumley says in the interview, when that is hammered in you for 4 years, you become very competitive and you get to thinking more of yourself than is necessary. So, yeah, interesting that they took that broadcast down. And I know they've taken down a few others that Anthony Morris was in. So, yeah, we've got some interesting things we're going to be watching in the future of things going on. And like Mike said, what's in the pike, what is in the future for Watchtower that they have to set up these wealth management asset teams and these 3 companies. And I'll put the link down below to the companies too. So
I just have to sit here and say, told you so.
Well, let's make popcorn because I think things are going to get real interesting.
That's right. Watchtower House Savings and Loan.
That's going to be the saying of the week, isn't it?
Watchtower House Savings and Loan Credit Union for Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah. Oh, look at the money they could be raking in.
Of course, in interests.
Oh, yeah.
In interest, because look, it's failed.
Yeah. Well, I also noticed, remember they used to take cryptocurrency? And look at what happened with cryptocurrency now. It's in the toilet. So I did notice that on their donations, I didn't see cryptocurrency anymore. So, interesting. It makes you wonder, how much did they lose with Bitcoin?
If they did lose any. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure they did.
Yeah.
I'm sure they did.
It's they're all in bed together. There's no difference.
Yeah.
There is no difference with these people no more. None.
Oh, and I just happened to remember, I did a video years ago about about the Mormon Church under investigation for all of their businesses, doing
That's
the
right.
Lord's business, all of their businesses, because they're taking donations from their nonprofit status and putting it into businesses. So they're being investigated right now. And I remember in the video, I said, you guys need to look at Watchtower because they're doing the same thing. And several people said, "Oh no, they don't have as much as the Mormon Church." Well,
Tens of billions.
yeah, billions and billions of dollars in assets. What does that tell you? Oh my goodness, this was fun. This was fun. I love exposing them.
It's funny because I'm sitting here thinking to myself, how friggin' boring this is also. Because it's like, we told you so. See, even though we're having fun doing this, on one level, it's absolutely boring because every Jehovah's Witness, expect this. Because their business model, their religious business model has failed. Because that generation is dead and gone.
Well, we said last year, several months ago, they have to rebrand themselves.
Yeah, they got to re-identify.
And this is part of it. They have to start getting in cahoots with investment bankers and wealth management teams and stuff.
Watchtower House Savings and Loan. Think of how much money they could make if they did brand themselves Watchtower House Savings and Loan and Credit Union. Just think of how much money they could make when they can offer every Jehovah's Witness savings in health care, health insurance.
Well, look at years ago. Why they had to quit charging interest on their Kingdom Hall loans.
They were acting as a bank.
A lot of Jehovah's Witnesses, you do not know why they had to stop charging interest. They were getting, 3 to 8% interest on their Kingdom Hall loans.
But yeah.
This was in the Kingdom ministry. And they had to stop doing that because the IRS went after them and said, you're acting as a bank. Well, now if they have the Watchtower savings and loans, they can charge interest.
They can charge interest now. That's right.
Imagine the mortgages all the Jehovah's Witnesses would go get.
Oh, look at all the yeah, you're right. Look at all the Jehovah Witness houses now that they can finance.
Yeah, all the apartment buildings and all of that. You can finance your own property, and all the Jehovah's Witnesses would run to Watchtower thinking they're going to be more honest and they're going to get a fair deal and get their mortgages and car loans.
What's that commercial that Tom Selleck does with these this housing loan? I forget.
Oh, the reverse mortgage.
Reverse mortgage. Jehovah's Witnesses. Really? Wait for it, because Watchtower will be offering a reverse mortgage, and when you die, your family members ain't gonna get your property. It'll be Watchtower. They've already set that up through the Watchtower, through the Kingdom Hall scam. Sign it over because you're signing it over to Jehovah. It's just,
wait for it.
You gotta be a complete buffoon not to see that this is a scam that Watchtower's putting on.
Well, even if it's not an intentional scam,
it's still there.
We can see that they are getting in bed with the elitists, and many have asked me, how come they won't investigate Watchtower? Well, now you know why.
Now you know.
We know they have friends in high places.
And it isn't the Lord Jesus, and it isn't Jehovah.
And I am working on a video, and don't be fooled. We've done a video years ago about them hiring 5 lobbyists.
That's right.
And believe me, some of these lobbyists are Jehovah's Witnesses that represent Watchtower in Washington. They are. And that's what I'm working on now. But this was more important because this had to get out there. The Watchtower wealth management investment banking. Oh, good Lord. Oh, good Lord.
It's how Jehovah's Witnesses can still think after...
Well, they don't know about this. They don't know about this.
But they're not going to know about it either because they got their heads literally buried in the sand.
No.
Literally. Because they don't want to hear it any more than people want to hear that, Jehovah's Witnesses, you are in a cult. Oh no, we only follow one man, and that's Jesus. Jesus is a cult leader, just like the Apostle Paul. Because Jesus' words are in this book, and this is what they're all using to unload you from your money. You're getting poorer, they're getting richer, all in the name of Jesus.
Yeah.
Figure it out. It's not difficult.
Yeah. And I just remembered, when we were talking about why they have to have more than one person when they're doing all these transactions. Think about it. If one PMO who has access to the hub, they have to have all these other people watching every single transaction because they don't want these PMOs leaking this information out.
Well, not only that, they have no faith in that Jesus can expose that person leaking this stuff out either. Jesus doesn't protect Watchtower any more than he protects little boys and girls that are getting abused. See? If Jesus was real and this was God, Jehovah, and Jesus' organization, Jesus would send an angel down to make sure that these people remain honest. But he doesn't do it.
Yeah.
Meanie, tickle, parson. This is the truth, friends.
Yeah. And for the new viewers who have sent me emails asking if we're atheists, no, we are not atheists. We still believe in a source of all. We just don't believe he is in this book.
Exactly right.
Unless a little bit of that truth gets through.
Well, it does. It does
get through. But for the most part, the real source is not the one committing all the genocide.
And it really comes down to how you use the information. You know, just like when Jesus said, ask anything in my name and I'll do it. Anything to glorify Jehovah, to glorify the Father, unless you're being abused as a child. Jesus doesn't help. Those words are false. There's no meaning behind those words. But yet, the religious person will try to put meaning behind them so that you will feel good giving up your money. Understand when you read this book that you have to identify where the real truth is and where the bullshit is, because this book contains both. But you, like the Bible says, you have to train your perceptive powers. Watchtower's not going to train your perceptive powers, because all they're going to do is train you to feel good and be joyful when you give up your money. But that's not what the Bible says, is train your perceptive powers. It's your responsibility to distinguish between right and wrong. It's your responsibility, and that's the truth. And that comes from the source of all.
Yeah.
Learn.
Yeah. All right. I know this was a long one. Oh my goodness. That took a lot of energy out of me.
Yeah, and I got a shooting video to go edit too.
So thank you so much, everyone, for sticking with us through this video. And I will put all the links down below. And all you PMOs, I hope this will give you something to talk to your JW families about, because this is a biggie. You know, if they're getting in bed with the elite, investment bankers and have directors now with their companies, then, this is
Right.
a biggie. And every Jehovah's Witness needs to know this. They need to know this. So you all have a wonderful and safe Labor Day weekend.
Yes.
We love you.
Bye.
Bye.